And we are live. Gentlemen, how are we doing this week?
It's you, Yancey.
Uh-oh.
Great. I was waiting for you to go, man. It's been good. It's been good. Been enjoying the holidays with the fam, and yeah, just hanging.
Good. Tis the season. Tis the season. What
Yeah.
have you been getting up to this week?
Oh gosh. It would be problematic to get too specific, but let's just say I've been enjoying myself and enjoying the family. And
Yes.
yeah, my wife's managed to keep up with me on the movie watching, so
Oh,
that's
good.
cool.
Maybe. I don't know. Well,
It's good. It's good.
I was going to say, we'll have to bring her in here tonight.
Yeah, no, she's putting the kids down right now, so
Fair enough. Fair enough.
go
There's
ahead.
got to be a better way to phrase that.
Hit your yeah. Anyway, Panda, hit your monologue.
All right. Fair enough. So here's the issue, gentlemen. We have been focused primarily on the external, that being the snow, the season, the issues that we run into every winter, particularly way back when we were being, for all the drama, when we were being forged and broken on that wheel of winter over in Europe, when we were becoming who we ultimately would be. Those same men who not only spread out through Europe, but would ultimately spread out throughout the world, trying to understand God's creation, trying to chase the horizon. What happens there, because we've been so focused on the external, is I think it's easy for us to forget that anytime you're messing with symbolism, anytime you're trying to get the entire picture of how things work, it can't just be the material and the symbolic, spiritual, however you want to frame it. It can't be either one. It has to be both. And so when we're talking about the material, that tends to be the external issues and those external pressures that are upon us. So this week we're going to focus on the internal. And as I'm trying to pull this thread and chase it back and figure out what exactly is that internal basis, that spiritual basis for all these material issues, why is it that we can call ourselves snowborn sons? Why is it that we're looking for the light? Why is it that we are expecting joy in the midst of darkness, that we're expecting warmth in the midst of winter? And that word expecting is the primary spiritual issue that we're dealing with right now. There's an expectation on our part that the sun will rise after the shortest day of the year. There's an expectation on our part that the gods or the God is culminating his plan here on this earth, that there is something more that we're tapped into, that we're being plugged into, that we can see off into the future. Not that we see everything now, but that we will see. There is an enormity that we can take part in. And so when we're here in winter, we have to focus not just, again, on those externalities that have affected us, that change us, and that we get to participate in, but we also need to remember that this is all in expectation of something more, in expectation of spring, excuse me, in expectation of God accomplishing his purpose here on this earth, and that we are but a breath in the midst of this. This season is simply a season. And that's where we'll end it tonight. No dead air. No dead air.
Well put. Well put. Here, here.
Well, very good. All right. So, what I will do, though, so a little inside baseball for everybody watching. We were trying to get some different streams up and some different audio feeds. There's different things going on that are going to prevent that. So, we're going to go with what we have been doing, and we're just going to use our single tier system. So, let me bring that up here and get that bad boy plugged in here. Yancey, did you happen to catch Did you happen to catch any of last week's stream?
I didn't. I didn't. I was.
Okay.
If we have a chance to maybe kind of run back through just as a little recap, kind of what
That's
y'all had looked at.
exactly. Yep, that's exactly what I was going to do right now, especially if you hadn't, and see if you had any quibbles. So right now, as the ranking stands, we have This Is Christmas, the S tier, being It's a Wonderful Life, Charlie Brown Christmas, The Family Man, and then we moved on into the A tier of Cozy, and we actually ended up with both the Home Alone movies being there. Abbott had some interesting thoughts on Home Alone 2 being the continuation, and frankly, the the even more than the continuation, maybe the second half of the story, that the story isn't complete unless you have Home Alone 2 in there. And I thought that was an interesting way of looking at it. Let's see what made a case for the Grinch. I still don't like it, but I'm going to leave it there because I think.
What was his case? What was his case? That was the one that I picked, that I saw in the chart, and I was like, "What in the world? That one's in Cozy."
Well, in fairness to him, don't look at this box art.
Yes.
So he was referencing the original animated Boris Karloff, the animated special from the 60s,
Okay.
I want to say.
That's right. Yancey, I grew up that one, and I despise the very fact that they made a live action form of it. So yeah, ignore the box art there. But that has been Cozy for me back in the day. Perhaps it doesn't deserve to be ahead of Die Hard, but yeah, I'll let you determine where the.
Okay. As long as it's the original, I mean, the original's obviously classic. So I mean, I thought it was the Ron Howard, Jim Carrey, complete.
It always blows my
nightmare
mind
film.
that was Ron Howard that did that. Just yeah. So
Well, does that? I mean, I don't see it down. I kind of. That's actually one that I watched recently, and I was just kind of blown away by how subversive it was. And I know that gets
Sure.
thrown around like everything's freaking subversive now because that's
Right.
just kind of how things are. But like that one was actually, even for the time. What was it? 2000? Like that.
Yeah.
I guess there were a lot of movies that were like that, but it was just. I don't know if y'all have any thoughts on the Ron
there
Howard
was
one.
the sexualizing of Martha May Whovier. There was the dog's butt and the general vulgarity, which frankly, it's easy to paint Jim Carrey as that in all of his movies because that is a preponderance of his movies. But he's more than just that. I mean, his range is wider than the gross out gag, so it's not like they had to go there. But,
I even more Jim Carrey's fine, honestly. And that, I mean, not
yeah.
great, but like for some reason he sounds like Sean Connery in parts, and sometimes he doesn't. But like,
Okay.
he was pretty well like in his presentation animated, and he sort of fit the he probably is the best suited person to play a actual cartoon character on, as he's done more than once. But like the thing that took me off was how it was shot at the beginning. It's very ominous, like the Dutch angles as it opens up on Whoville, the dark tone of just the way everything looks, and the emphasis on consumerism and the vapidness of Whoville, which was just like obviously it's allegory for consumerism in America, but
yeah, and there wasn't exactly a bright light that they were able to wrap it in such a way that his heart growing 3 times bigger didn't really, is like, okay, whatever.
The whole thing just feels contrived from start to finish to fit the original 60s special.
Well, as I remember it too, not to get too bogged down in the Grinch, but as I remember it, it was that one, and then it was The Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers that convinced I believe it's late. Did Mrs. Seuss die? Anyway, we'll say the late Dr. Seuss's wife to be like, no, we're done with these live action shenanigans.
Yeah, good for
on her.
Yeah, exactly.
So having said that, we then went into the Santa Claus with Tim Allen, kept that in Cozy, Die Hard, Fat Man, The Little Drummer Boy, and The Small One. Then we moved on into commercial, wherein we had the Rankin Bass stuff, we had Just Friends, we had Bad Santa, and then the Nativity Story, which we kind of got bogged down in that, but it was a good conversation.
It was.
And then we went into Sucks, which frankly, you're saying subversive is used too often, and there's probably a point in that. However, while I wouldn't say that Elf was necessarily subversive, I absolutely believe that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was. So that was
Because of
absolutely
the
a
gay
piece
elf.
of no, because of the focus on noses. But anywho's, having said that, any major quibbles on the list so far, Yancey?
Nah, I would put Rudolph maybe up in cozy just because
You what?
it's a good one. I've always enjoyed that one. But I'm not gonna go against the grain too much here since I missed out last time. So I'm fine.
The
I'm actually
Zoomer
like
speaks.
depending on the day, I might say it sucks. I might say it's cozy. Today I've got a pain in my tooth, which I'm going to take pain medication for. So I think I'm actually on the same page to say Rudolph sucks today.
Okay. All right. So Rudolph actually has a twin that we basically call the adult version of Rudolph. Now we haven't gotten there yet, but we will at some point. And if we have enough time, I found a treat this week that I'm looking forward to getting your guys' opinion on. But having said that, Yancey, you've had a week off. Go ahead and lead us off on whichever title you want.
Let's hop into National Lampoons because that's another one I just watched recently, the first time in like 10 years.
All right. Let's see. So, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Let me find if I can find the daggone box right. Here it is. All right. Like every other movie, we're going to start it out in commercial. Yancey, make your case.
I'm going to say that it is. It's really at the dividing line between commercial and cozy. It's cozy because it's funny, and it's commercial because everybody knows it, everybody loves it. But I would say it's more maybe leans more towards commercial just because it doesn't. I mean, we talked about this about Elf and maybe in there was another movie where it's like what makes a Christmas movie, and Lethal Weapon takes place on Christmas. Is it really a Christmas movie? I would say not so much in the way Die Hard is. It's about maybe some of those virtues, some of those characteristics and qualities we think of during the season. Self-sacrifice, um, the giving of oneself to others, family. So I guess I would probably put it in cozy because it actually does fall in line with a lot of traditional. Um, what's Chevy Chase's character's name in this movie again? I forget every time.
Clark.
Clark
Griswold.
Clark has a lot of faults. He has a wandering eye. He's short tempered. He's goofy, but he really does try to make the perfect Christmas for his family. And in that sense, he is kind of a noble character. The movie has nothing to do with Christ, so that's a huge mark against it. Like even Home Alone has, is obviously more of a Christian film. It reemphasizes Christ near the end. So this it's a funny movie. It's a harmless movie. I would say cozy. I would say cozy. And there's just too little Christ in this Christmas movie for it to be this is Christmas tier. That being said, it's relatable too. All the family dynamic stuff. If you are married, if you have in-laws, if you have kids, it's going to strike a chord with you on some level. You're going to relate to a lot of it. And I hadn't watched this since I had gotten married almost 7-8 years ago. So there was a lot of things that just I thought it was funnier than when I was even a kid. So cozy for me.
Where are you at on this one?
Well, First of all, I congratulate you on what 7, 8 years of marriage. I was unaware you were married, Yancey.
Married with kids. So yes, there was a lot that I related to for the first time with this upon watching it again. So yeah.
Well, awesome. Again, double congrats then, married plus kids. This is all you guys. I probably saw this when I was in junior high, 95, 96. When did this come out? Probably not.
89, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I saw this at a friend's house. That's the only time I saw it. And all I really recall was that awesome scene with, I think, a metal saucer where he's rolling down the hill and
I thought that's the scene you were going to reference.
well, it's memorable. I
It
don't
is.
remember really anything else about it, but so this is the ball's in your guys' court here. So I'll just leave off and fade to black. It's all you, Panda. Where do you want to place it?
So I just rewatched this one this past week. There were some reasons for that. So I rewatched it, and sort of two things kept coming to mind. One of them was I think it was last week. I believe it was you, maybe it was Abbott, but sort of cited the Home Alone movies as that desperation of what is Christmas and trying to understand it on the part of Gen X. Does that sound familiar?
That was likely Abbott. And by the way, I need to make a shout out to Abbott, who will not be on this stream. I don't think you mentioned that he duty called for him elsewhere, and
Yes, he was unfortunately detained,
yeah.
retained, whatever.
I hope
Anyway,
Ice is gentle with him.
Right.
so yeah,
So okay,
yeah,
well, go ahead.
no, I was simply going to say, if anyone commented on that last week, it was Abbott.
Okay.
So yeah, take it and run with it.
Yeah, well, and that's sort of the idea that I kept coming back to when I was watching this. It also reminded me, I had told Slaughter one time he had written about the Apatow movies, and I said my major frustration with the Apatow movies, between Knocked Up and 40-Year-Old Virgin and any of them he's done, is it's always the same theme as what was in Freaks and Geeks. Have either of you seen Freaks and Geeks?
Yes,
Yeah, I love that show.
so good.
Have you
It
seen it,
is
Wit?
so good.
I have not, but what's interesting is bringing up 40-Year-Old Virgin. I've not seen that either, but I've had on my mind just in this past week sexual ethics and the way in which that's cast by the
Yeah,
mainstream. And what year did 40-Year-Old Virgin come out of curiosity?
2005 ish.
Right, that sounds about right. So I was early enough after my conversion to kind of loathe that just at a glance. I didn't even have to
Yeah,
watch it to the primary thrust of it. The Pierce Morgan stuff in this past week is what
yeah.
caught my attention. The accusation as though it were a pejorative thing to call someone a virgin
He really got one over on Nick.
yeah. Anyway,
What
again,
a
Should
what
have
a
called him
bastard
gay.
too. What a
Should have called him
bastard
gay.
making. Well, he's making me come into Nick's corner and defend him, the jackass.
well, yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, I know, and that's kind of a rare case for me, but I had to in this case because
Right.
it has nothing to do with Nick and everything to do with the spiritual principle, which is absolutely scriptural. And I
Yeah.
just these dumbasses who want to come against scriptural sexual ethics, they've got something coming. And it's I don't wish it upon them. I want to see repentance, but I hate to see it anywhere I see it. But anyway, 40-Year-Old Virgin was what made me think of it just now.
Well, it's so my issue with the Apatow films is it's all freaks and geeks just repeated over and over again, and that is it's Gen X screaming into the void. You didn't give us an example. What are we supposed to do now? How do we make a life out of this? because this foundation that we have isn't giving us anything. And it works perfectly in Freaks and Geeks. I think Freaks and Geeks is S tier drama. The issue is that idea of what next, what now, works with high school students. But when you get to grown men and they're still screaming out what next, it's not that it's vapid, but it's just, it's dire. It's very bleak. And I think that Apatow's films, they're watched as a comedy, but they need to really be understood as tragedies, to be somewhat dramatic.
Can I ask you a question, Amanda?
Go for it.
Freaks and Geeks. That's a TV series. That was not a film.
TV series.
Yeah. What was the primary attraction? Like, I kind of remember it. That was during the decade of my sort of absenting myself from all pop culture, I believe.
It was. I'm trying to remember if that 70s show was in. If it had actually been a thing prior to Freaks and Geeks. Anyway, it's set in the 70s, and it's this question of what next. We're seeing the technological changes. We're dealing with the post-war stuff, and we're trying to figure out how society is changing, what it is to be a teenager, and where we plug in. And I thought it was masterfully done. I mean, not to mention the cast is great. It's got Rogan, Franco's in there. Who's the drummer?
Linda
Yancey.
Cardellini.
Yes, she is. And then, is it Siegel? Was Siegel the drummer?
Jason Siegel.
Okay, yep. So it's stacked. They all do a great job. None of them come off as, I've hit this horse before, but it's just none of them came off as Drew Barrymore playing a teenager. They all of them. I don't know, man. Like that just seared into my head.
If may I ask a follow-up question? You said enduring technological changes. What are you referencing?
Well, the first one that pops in my head is Pong, and this idea of just getting bitched at because they're trying to play Pong.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's just this idea. It's the, I was going to say age-old story, but I don't think that age-old story is really appropriate because we didn't really have teenagers until the post-war period.
Right.
But it was, and so it's still in the 90s when Apatow was making this, it's still fresh enough to be like, when we were kids in the 70s, we were trying to navigate this path and figure out what it meant to move from young adolescence into our teenage years, into young adulthood. And so I thought, now I'm saying this, it's been a few years since I watched the series. I've watched it twice and I quite enjoyed it. So I'm willing right now to put my neck on the line and say, yeah, it's well worth finding and well worth checking out. But again, my problem with Apatow is that Freaks and Geeks is great, but that's the same daggum. He's made the same series and the same movie so many times, and there's never resolution because there was no resolution for any of those characters in any of his movies. He comes close, believe it or not. He comes close in 40-Year-Old Virgin. He comes close in Knocked Up. He doesn't really come close in Superbad. And there's this sort of throwaway. Like,
don't be down on Superbad, man. Superbad is a masterpiece.
Ugh, really?
Absolute masterpiece.
That's not even in his S tier. His own personal one.
I'm sorry, dude. I don't make the rules.
Okay. So, well, okay. Anyways, all that being said, that's how I felt watching Daggum National Lampoons. And so I do think Yancey's correct in that there's this desire on the part of Clark to jump in and say there is something more, and family means something, and we're supposed to be taking part of this. And we see that in the way he interacts with Eddie. We see that in the way that he just tolerates everything, and yet he is this bumbling fool. I forgot how much slapstick is truly in that movie. I mean, it is note after note just returning to slapstick. So
It's a funny thing. I don't mean to interrupt there, but it's
no,
a
you're good.
funny. It's funny that that's such a think of that. It's 1989. It's the last one of the last films to come out in the 80s, and it's a film about all a man wants for Christmas to make his family happy is a pool. Like it's just
Yeah.
like it's the perfect capstone to the 80s. Like, you know, he already has a great house. He already has a good family. He already has it. The one thing he doesn't have is faith, but that's an unremarked upon thing. That's just sort of
Well,
implied. you know,
yeah. Yeah, because I mean the film opens up with them singing it wasn't Silent Night. It was a Christmas hymn.
yeah, they're
Ah.
singing. Yeah,
Yeah, it was a Christmas hymn. And so it's like, yeah, it's cultural, but that's interesting in its own self because it is this harkening back to and Freaks and Geeks. I mean, we keep bringing up the Apatow stuff, but Freaks and Geeks hits on this too. That in the 70s there is this question of where is Christ in all of this, and so the influence is unmistakable, even though it's cultural and it's not something that's actively being participated in, but it's 100% being participated in just by being a part of the culture at that time in history. So, anyways, having said all that, I'm super cool. I hemmed and hawed about it over the week, and I ultimately washed out basically where you're at, Yancey. That I think it necessarily needs to be on Cozy because there's enough going on there with Clark that he's trying. He doesn't know where he's supposed to go or where he's supposed to put his feet, but boy, he is trying. So I'm totally down with putting it there in Cozy. And
good
that's
deal.
what we're going to do. Having said that, Mr. Midwick, go ahead and pick one for us.
Well, let's jump right into the Herdmans. The
Best
Herdmans.
Christmas pageant ever.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Let's do that. And why don't you offer the story arc, and I'll endeavor to follow up after that.
Sure.
Yancey, you seen this one?
I have not.
All right.
Okay.
So this is at least the second version. I think it might be the third theatrical version of this. Excuse me, not necessarily theatrical, but movie version of this. And so this one came out, the one that we're specifically talking about, it came out last year in 2024. The gist, it goes back to a book that I want to say was written in the 70s. And it's this woman that's writing and saying that there was this terrible group of kids that she grew up around, and they end up getting involved in her church specifically so they can get treats related to Christmas, and they get wrangled up in the Christmas play, and it's absolutely unequivocally going to be the worst Christmas pageant ever. And that's not how it turns out to be. So is that enough there, Midwit, or you want me to keep going?
Yeah, that's sufficient, and that's more than I knew. You're telling me this is written on the basis of someone lived experience, as they say.
Well, and that's the thing, right? I don't know if it's actually a true story or if it's written as a true story. Like, what's that one that Crichton wrote? The 13th Warrior, the Beowulf from the Arab Eyes,
I can't tell you, man.
or maybe it was Muslim Eyes. It might have been a Persian guy, but Man Eaters. Oh, that's what it was. The Crichton book was Man Eaters, but the Antonio Banderas movie was the 13th Warrior. Anyways, let's see. You guys talk because I'm
Okay.
actually Googling this right now.
All right, I'll begin my first impression, which was that the cinematography was pretty good, I thought, throughout, at least initially. The sort of slow-mo scenes, setting the scene, setting the offering the premise of this, these bad dudes, and particularly Imogene, the main character, um, coming from a broken home and sort of playing the part of the bully at school, uh, set against the main character, who is a younger girl.
The
Who
the book came out in 1971, and as best as I can tell, it was just it was a novel, a children's novel.
Okay, I was unaware that there was anything that preceded this, and if I'm not mistaken, uh, my wife mentioned this to me, and I didn't follow it up. But is this done by Angel Studios, or at least some Angel adjacent studio? Connected
Um,
with
might be. I'm not super familiar with them. Let me.
surprised me based on the cinematography, which
Okay.
felt kind of similar. And let's get to, I don't know. I'm not going to pull punches here. I'm just going to tell it straight. I I found it rather plastic, almost in a way. The cinematography was almost too good. It was sort of still shot, slow motion movement in toward the character in the middle of the screen with heads peripheral to the talking head in the middle. I mean, there was a lot of that stuff, and
Rule of
it,
thirds, was there a rule of thirds properly applied?
oh gosh, I don't know. I should know as a photographer, but I don't know. It was too perfect. Let's put it that way. There was a kind of plastic flawlessness about the way in which the whole thing was shot, and that I suppose I have more negative things to say about this film. The two dimensionality of the church scenes and the churchy church people. It reminded me of, and I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it was a big deal when I was in college, and I actually saw Donald Miller speak live. Donald Miller, Blue Like Jazz. Have you
Blue
guys
Like
seen Blue Like
Jazz? You
Jazz?
saw him?
Yeah, I saw him. Yeah, in real life, IRL.
No joke. Okay. I still need to
Yeah.
read that book.
Well, yeah, you should. It's a good book. It's a worthy read. Uh, and the I dare say, Blue Like Jazz, because it is specifically it's a very directed attack at churchy church Christianity in Texas, where he comes from, Donald Miller, before he shoots out
A
toward or
quick a
yeah.
quick jump in here.
Go-
So
go-
it was directed by Dallas Jenkins, who is associated with Angel Studios, but the film was part and parcel Lionsgate.
Yes, yes, I saw the Lionsgate. I did not see the Angel watermark. So when my wife brought that up, I didn't know what
Yeah,
to
well,
think.
I
But
mean,
yeah, it's
she had an
adjacent.
eye for she had the eye for it because
Yeah,
it did say that Dallas Jenkins. I don't know how he's associated with Angel Studios, but obviously he has a particular style.
yeah, I thought he was kind of the figurehead, but that's
Okay.
another matter. In any event, let's come back to this film. I only bring up Blue Like Jazz because it has this in common with what is it called? The best Christmas pageant ever. Um, these two things are in common. It flattens this concept of what it's like to, I don't know, to participate in church. And perhaps churches like this actually exist. They truly are this formulaic, this two-dimensional, this flattened. And there really are people who, whole churches who are simply going through the motions, and they need some kind of infusion from without in order to sort of uh, jolt them into cognizance of what's truly important. And that's what this film is about. This bad family who live on the fringe of the town, in the sort of industrial fringe, whose father is absent and whose mother is mostly absent as well. Um, there's this redemption arc for this entire family. And I'm getting to the positive here. I did really like two scenes from this film. I did not hate this film. I thought I would from the way it got off the ground. But there are two scenes, one in the middle, and here's the spoiler alert. Um, one right in the middle where these children are invited to participate in this Christmas play, and that's the kind of primary source of conflict throughout the whole film. And uh, they're sort of too wild and erratic. No one trusts them, except for the couple protagonists who give them a chance. And in the middle of the film, when they are when they're reconciling themselves to the idea of participating in this play, and the main protagonist girl, the sort of baddest girl of the family, she wants to play Mother Mary, and she is giving a pep talk to her three brothers and a sister, and she's telling them, "Hey, look, we no longer have to be the the bad family. We can be someone entirely different. We can actors they get to participate in roles that their real lives don't have anything to do with. They can be better people. We can be better people." And that was among the most touching scenes in the entire film. And I felt, in a way, I probably will never watch this film again. But if you do watch it, I'm offering the reasons to do so, and this is the one. And the other is by the end of the film. Perhaps I shouldn't offer the complete spoilers. I'll just leave it at that. There's a redemption arc for individuals who, and let me wax a little autobiographical here. Here's part of why it touches me, because this family, it's fairly obvious that they feel put upon by those that they find themselves surrounded by, the kids at school, the other families in town. They know they're the bad kids, and they feel like they have to continue in that groove. They have to ride those rails, the rails that have been laid for them, by the expectations of all those around them. And this opportunity to play a part in this nativity play at church offers them an opportunity to be something other from what they're expected to be by those around them. And this is, I won't get specific, but it's a theme that strikes a chord with me just now, let's say. And I think for a lot of people, likely, who find themselves continuing to, well, to appeal to the Apostle Paul. I didn't write this down, but what I want to do, I don't do, and what I hate, I do. That's kind of the place that these kids find themselves in until they have the opportunity to be something different in this play. So that's the long and short of what I have to say. What do you have to say, Panda?
Well, and so as you're hitting on that, there the other component to that is there's nature versus nurture, and how do we delineate between the two of them? But it's reasonably expected that these children haven't seen anything other than what they're involved in, and so they can feel, like the Apostle Paul said, that there's got to be something more, and there's something else that I want to do, but they haven't seen that modeled for them until you see in the movie, as they're having these things modeled in front of them, they are in their own particular ways receptive to what's going on, and
Right.
they want to find a way to be involved in something more than what they've known. And so for various reasons in deep Pandalore, I think that's it's not an idea without merit. It's not an idea without merit. But it's also, unfortunately, within the U.S. foster system, within whatever, it is an idea that is not as cozy as it necessarily looks. Anyway, we're getting off on a tangent here. Okay, so the movie itself, I'll be honest, I love it.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it is, and it. What I will give to you, it very much, probably more so than what else. What haven't we gone through? Okay, there's a couple other ones that could fall into this too, but it is straddling that line between being simple and being simplistic.
Right.
And that is sometimes you walk right up to that line, and you got to be awfully careful there, awfully careful. And so it's not Lewis. At the same time, I do think it was a simple story. It was well done. From our perspective these days, when I first saw it, so this was actually the second time I've seen it this past week. When I first saw it last year, and I did it again this past week, it was, oh boy, they're about to turn the dad into a jackass. And
Yes.
so we went in there, and it is Pete Holmes, and so you kind of got to roll with that a little bit. However, I think by the end of the movie, I think they had taken the goofball father and made him more of a father. I wish it hadn't started out on that kind of flat-footed nature of the father, but by the end of the movie, I did appreciate his character, and so I don't think it was a great one, but I do love it. I do, because for me as well, it's the simplicity of the gospel. Again, it's not the
it's an oblique presentation.
no, that's yeah, that's fair. That's fair. On The Family Man, your mind can kind of wander. On It's a Wonderful Life, I don't think your mind can wander as much. Well, no, see, It's a Wonderful Life operates. It can operate in multiple ranges simultaneously. What a wild movie. But yeah, so anyways, I love the movie. I would not put it in S tier, but I'm a big fan of it. Just 'cause I think what it set out to do, it does well, and it's not totally contrived. It's slightly contrived. But I don't think it's totally contrived.
Right. Contrived was actually a word that came to me while I was watching. And you're right.
Yeah.
It's, again, I didn't hate it. I love it. Uh, it's not excellent. It's not, it's definitely not S tier material, but I I wouldn't be sorry to see it occupy a lower end of cozy or even the top end of commercial. But I think it's probably more cozy than commercial, in terms of the primary thrust of its gospel emphasis, which admittedly, like I said, it's weak, but it's there.
I was going to say I'm a sucker for the gospel, but if last week proved anything, I think we also tend to be, rightfully so, but tend to be kind of strict. I don't even know if that's the right word, but
yeah, no,
demanding. We
the
are demanding of gospel movies.
the technical excellence needs to be there, as it does for any other film. Like these gospel specific films are not exempt from aesthetic criteria.
Well, and it gets repeated over and over again, but it is one of those rudimentary things that you have to understand, and it's the idea of show, don't tell. Show,
Yes.
don't tell.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and there's a lot of telling in this film. Yeah.
There is. So yeah, I'm fine putting it there towards. Let's see. I'd probably put it in between the. Well, I wouldn't put it anywhere further than Fat Man. I'm trying to decide between. I'd probably put it either just in front of Little Drummer Boy or just behind.
Hey, whoa! What about me over here? Every movie that I haven't seen,
I thought you hadn't seen it.
Every movie that exists that I haven't seen exists without my consent, so it actually should go in the not Christmas pile until I've seen it.
Right. Fair enough. Well, hey, based on what we've been saying, where would you put it?
I mean, it sounds like a good commercial. I mean, from what it sounds like, you know, Panda loves it. Mid apparently hates it, thinks it's worse than the Holocaust. So I think commercial is the perfect middle ground for. I'm a centrist, as you can tell from my Twitter. I look at both sides and I see that both of you are wrong and it should go in commercial.
Very sensible. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we're
It pains me. It pains me to do this.
Your show, man. It's your show.
I will put it behind Griswold, but I won't go any lower than that. Oh.
okay. So I have a confession to make here. In the wake of what Yancey just said, in that first
Please don't let it be about the incident.
the incident.
He was young and needed the money.
Well, no, I mean, I just I like taking sides, and so when it came to Die Hard, I was kind of trolling you guys, and Yancey played along, and I'm pretty sure he's playing a game right now, and so yeah, don't let us interfere with your very serious operations here, Panda. Don't let our troll.
These are more serious than you guys can imagine. Oh man, I'm over here having an existential crisis on which one goes where. All right. So having said that, I believe it's my turn then.
By all means.
Okay. So let's see. Now we've had one that both of you guys haven't seen. Have both of you guys seen Jingle All the Way?
This is going to be a U2 thing.
That's a negatory for me.
Oh, well, good Lord.
It's
then I'll rate it myself.
Okay. Yeah, run.
Okay, so we're going to start out in commercial where they all start. Here's what I will say, though. I think Jingle All the Way it's sort of the twin of Elf. And what I mean by that is that in both cases there is this question of in the midst of the commercialism, what is supposed to be occurring? How are we participating in this? What I think separates Jingle All the Way from Elf is that Elf is very, yeah, we should just celebrate the mediocrity of everything. Whereas I actually think Jingle All the Way is completely aspirational. Now, I will admit that if you watch this one time, you're not going to get the aspirational and you're going to be like, oh, that was so stupid. That was painful to watch. Okay. But I might have some sort of blinders on here. For me, this is a cozy movie. At the same time, I'm totally fine leaving it in commercial. But I think the real difference between this and Elf is Elf settled in its own mediocrity, and Jingle All the Way, there's an aspirational aspect to how a father stays involved in his family, how he shows Christmas to his son, and how a family unites in pursuit of something higher. Now, they don't go into what that something higher is, but it is sort of like Christmas Vacation in that way. So I'm going to put it in the highest of commercial and leave it there. I like that movie. All right. On that being said, Yancey, you're up. Dead air.
Yancey.
Sorry. I was talking to. You missed a really good monologue from me. I shouldn't have muted. Actually, I want to. Man, I wish I'd watched the horrible follow up to A Christmas Story. I watched it when it came out, and I don't remember anything about it other than it being nauseatingly like that.
Oh, A Christmas Story, Christmas? Really?
Yeah, I didn't like it. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe I just wasn't in the Christmas spirit. But
no, I mean, I think that's one way to go. Boy, those are interesting movies, both of them.
with that, I want to pick A Christmas Story.
Okay. Yeah. Ooh, I'm excited about this.
I'm sorry. Is this the?
This is the lamp.
Okay.
Fragile.
Oh. Oh. Yeah. Okay. I have only the vaguest recollections, but all of my friends dug it back in the day.
All right, lead us into it, Yancey.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm always, I mean, naturally, it's one of the, you know, most acclaimed Christmas movies, and it's literally on pretty much every channel on Christmas Day, at least from what I remember when I was a younger kid and a teenager. Um, just like on a nonstop loop all Christmas. There's something great about it. I think I want to put this up there with This Is Christmas, honestly, because I don't think the other like there is not an emphasis on Christ in the season. There's not really an emphasis on virtue or really anything like that. But it's from a child's perspective, and it's all about childlike concerns, getting the present you want, navigating, your hard nosed father, which that's not something personally I grew up with, but just it's 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 a very relatable film for looking back on your childhood, and every single one of his concerns are concerns that you had when you were a kid, and frustrations and things you sort of figured out or lived with and dealt with. And I think it gets at the heart of what Christmas is for kids, which is learning that you don't get everything that you want, and even when you do get what you want, it's not exactly perfect, like getting the getting the and I'm fuzzy on the details on how everything transpires in the movie because I haven't seen it in a while, but it's always been high up on the list for me. I think I don't really think there's a lot of you probably could do a pretty extensive deep dive on it, but for the thematically what's going on there, but I think it's just charming because it totally immerses you in the mind of a young child during Christmas time, and specifically that era too. Um, a particularly American um, era. It's defining era in America. Anyway, I don't really have anything that you know um, deep to say about it other than that. So it's I think it's a This Is Christmas, honestly.
Wait, you do you not have any familiarity with it?
I might have seen it once in maybe middle.
What?
Yeah, 95, 96. Perhaps you missed it, Yancey, but I bowed out on Christmas for the past 20 years, so I'm back, baby. I'm uh I'm coming
Well,
back with
welcome back, I guess. Jeez. You should be doing your homework. I get a pass. I've seen some of these at least. You've got to get back on your Christmas spirit, man. You got 20 years to make up.
Hey, listen, buddy, I've watched Christmas movie for the past 3 days.
I
And
was I was gonna say
And it's still not enough, and it's still not enough. You need to be
he has
jolly
a
maxing.
noble. There's a noble try in there.
yeah, sorry, man. I apologize for my ignorance, which is glaring. But yeah, no, to my credit, one of my best friends in elementary school, he looked exactly like the kid from what is this called? The Christmas Story. What is this one?
I don't know. Is it the or a
It's a Christmas
A.
story.
a Christmas story?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's much more humble. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I had a friend who would get ribbed by our classmates for basically looking exactly like that kid. And what I do recall, two things was the lamp, the leg lamp, right? Glowing sex in the window, which was that's pretty when when you're in sixth grade. And then additionally, doesn't the Santa Claus character, he says he objects to the request made by the kid. It's like you'll shoot your eye out. And
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, right. So I mean, listen, I think I caught the essence of this film, even if I forget pretty much everything else. But Yeah, I don't know. I'd put this on the commercial level. It's not cozy for me. My family did not have a habit of watching it, but my parents were kind of unique when it came to films. We were, I mean, to say highbrow is kind of pretentious, but let's just say my parents had had aesthetic standards that I'm back, and I'm not sorry for it. But this was one of those films that went by the wayside, even though I watched things like Home Alone, which somehow made it through the filter. But yeah,
That's kind of shocking.
yeah.
They clearly need to reassess their standards if it kept A Christmas Story out of the holiday lineup.
Well, I think it was more out of ignorance than a sort of deliberate filtering, to be
Sure.
honest. But yeah, so it's all you guys. You guys place it where you want.
So I think Yancey is hitting the high point when he says it captures a child's idea of Christmas.
I liked that.
Which,
Boy,
if we're being honest, is the most important perspective of anyone at Christmas time is the child. What are the children seeing? What are the
what?
children perceiving? Yes, I think
Okay,
when we
I'm gonna here. I will. I'm gonna
With
let
fans,
you. I'm gonna let you carry that as a young father, and that keep my mouth
I
shut.
no they are what makes it. We talk about it being centered on Christ and about the gift of that God has given us and the opportunity to be for obviously
Ugh,
to
no, no,
reestablish.
no. Go ahead. Good.
No, it's I think, but as far as like who, like, I don't know, their perspective on I care more about what the children are saying than anything else. I think we do this more than anything for the children. We would do it ourselves, but it wouldn't have that same magic. It wouldn't. It would be something different.
That's because we're doing it wrong. Ah.
Well, then
Now,
I want to hear this. I want to hear this.
yeah, I was gonna say, expand on that, Panda.
okay, so no, this and Yancey, this isn't you. This is me flailing at society in the 21st century. Where what has happened is that we allowed ourselves to lean on the children and say, "Oh, the children enjoy this," and "Oh, the children should have magic." It's like, no, damn, like everyone, everyone has to be participating in the magic or it doesn't count. This idea that light is coming into darkness, that expectation is supposed to be universal, and it doesn't matter whether you're a widow or whether you're a 5-year-old child, this expectation has to be communal, has to be transcendent in such a way that it covers everyone. Otherwise, we're boxing off and compartmentalizing these ideas within the Christmas season, and we are limiting the fulfillment of Christmas and the fulfillment of our expectations in our lives.
Well, yeah, I agree with all of that 100%. But I mean, the children are what really give it that special magic, though, is that their participation in it more than anything else.
Oh my goodness!
Hey,
No,
Christmas,
no,
Chris,
no! Wait.
yes. Christmas is not
So
the same. Look, we can be pious, we
Saint
can be
Saint
have light coming
Saint
into darkness.
Nicholas. Oh, but it's Saint Nicholas. What was the gift that he's most well known for?
Cool.
No, not Santa. Not Santa, but Saint Nicholas. Like the
Gems.
saint. No, it's that there was a family that had three daughters who were so poor that different things were going on that the daughters expected to whore themselves out, that they were going to be put into sexual slavery.
Source?
It's Saint
Money.
church canons.
Yeah. No. I'm not being an ass here. I'm really curious. Uh,
Yeah. So it,
with the
the,
because I'd like to read.
I will. Okay, so I will find you the one that I go to, and I will send you a digital copy of it.
Cool.
So Saint Nicholas, he goes and he provides the money to prevent this from happening. And it wasn't just the girls who were kept from this life of, I don't even want to say depravity, because it wasn't their choice. And it was this question of like, well, where's their different times, right? But what he did was he kept the family from being involved in that. It wasn't just that the daughters were given a gift, it was that the mother and the father were given a gift, and they were able to see Christ's bounty upon them all. And when it's just, I'm going to repeat myself, when we limit it to the children, we're missing the fullness, the kneading of the dough that is God sending Christ to the earth. And so there, yes, children perhaps evidence it most plainly. And I think there is something good to be said when a mother and father say, I'm going to do this for my children. But in a
Right.
mother and father saying, I'm going to do this for my children, the mother and father, in the right and appropriate way for their station, are likewise involving themselves in Christmas.
Right. To use your own word, Panda, participating, which
I
I
know
think is
I use it too
that's
much.
well, no, it's good. It's good to have ongoing themes, and I've appreciated that from you. Um, Two things that I've thought of, perhaps one more important than the other. The first being C.S. Lewis, of course. Here we are. How many minutes are we into the stream? I don't know. We're an hour into the stream, so I think I'm permitted to drop a C.S. Lewis reference. At
Absolutely.
the end of the first Narnia film, if I don't mistake, it's been a while since I've seen it. And shout out to my man, Internet Explorer, by the way, who's one of my favorite ex mutuals, who's an intelligent head, who he has a running monologue that I appreciate. But he brought up the Narnia films, and I was totally unaware of any kind of contemplation of um, continuing that series because it dropped off so precipitously in the aughts. I don't believe the last one came out anywhere past 2010. In any event, I believe it's in the first one, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where, and this is coming back to the reason for this tangent, kids versus adults, who's involved primarily, like who's this for after all, and I think the
Yes.
end of the and you know what I'm going to say, Panda. I can see it on your face. When they return, they have something to say to the professor. They want to relate their experience in the wardrobe, and he just, if I recall correctly, he basically just hits him with a knowing look, like, yeah, I've been there, I know it. And I think that's the ideal position to be in as a parent, is to, as you say, yeah, um, to recognize the children's experience, but to also acknowledge that, yeah, not only have you been there, but the recollection is so fresh in your mind that you know exactly where your kids are coming from when it comes to the enthusiasm that they have for things like lights draped over the house beside me to my right, as I'm speaking this into the laptop in my car by my neighbor's house from whom I'm sucking Wi-Fi. Um, you know, there's this
This
mutually.
nigga sucking Wi-Fi.
Yeah, well, I know my neighbor at least. I'm not doing it on the sly. He's a good friend of mine. In any event, yeah. So it's the mutual experience. I understand what you both are saying, Yancey. Like, yes, it's for the kids, and yes, Panda, it's for the adults. But it needs to be, acknowledged with a wink and a nod between the two generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my point was not to offend the sensibilities of Panda here, but like I just meant that their perspective is the most magical during this time of the season. It is the one that is, they're the ones who are forging memories, not necessarily. I mean, we are making memories, but they are definitely more impacted by this season than adults are. I think that's just a fact. And that is something to revisit is magical in and of itself, to revisit a child's perspective during this time of the year. You don't have to get deep into the into anything else other than just to realize this is. I mean, kids look forward to it for different reasons, but even still, you think about any other season, or you think about children's participation in anything else, their enthusiasm normally outweighs an adult's, and that's another element of the magic of the season. It's not the sole thing. It's just something that is unique, that they have a unique perspective on this time of the year, and it's very endearing, and it's very nostalgic to think about.
Hey, you better thank your lucky stars, Yancey, that you're at a distance from Panda because he looks like he's about to punch you in the face. In the face.
No, 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 no. There's nothing violent about it other than just the velocity that's in me. Um, and I don't want to cross the streams. Trying to figure out whose pick is Wit. Is it your pick after? Yeah, because Yancey did. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna try to keep something in the back of my head that I think adds to this conversation about another film. Okay,
From a
I'll
different.
leave it at.
Well, yeah, tell me which one is it among those that talked
I
about last week? Because I'll
yes.
jump. Yeah, yeah. By all means, let loose on whatever film it is in your mind, and I'm sure I'm prepared to talk about it if it's among those that you texted me about.
Okay, so I will say, let's see where. Okay, Yancey, I will meet you in the middle on Dagum A Christmas Story, and I will put it at the top of Cozy.
Nothing less than This Is Christmas.
I can't, my
Wow.
man. I can't.
Oh man, if Abbott does in fact come
Look, fine.
next
I'm
week,
willing. You owe me. You freaking owe me. Put it at the
I
top of
owe
This
you.
Is Cozy. But
I
you owe
can put
me.
it at. The...
I,
oh,
I
okay. But before we get into the next movie, I will say, but this is also, and I will cross the streams slightly, but I think it'll be allowed on this one. So you did see Yancey? You saw A Christmas Story Christmas?
I
The
did,
the
but I'm going to level with you. There's not much that I can recall about it, which I feel like maybe is kind of an indictment in and of itself of it, but maybe
okay.
not, because you present your case. Present your
Right. So the issue with it, and what I'll give you to it came about in that time when, I mean, within a year or two of Jurassic World and that Star Wars episode, what, 7, right, where they're rebooting all these old franchises and all that.
Well, I
And
think it
so,
was, what, 2022. So I mean, the Star Wars sequel trilogy had been out for about 3 years or so.
but I'm saying there was that you had that, and you had Jurassic Park. You had
Right.
and then the Twisters movie just came out in 2024 or whatever. Like we've been going through this. Oh, and Top Gun, right? So it's like
Oh yeah.
we've been going through this season of rebooting these old franchises, and so like I can understand it getting swallowed up in that, and there being frustration on there, and I will also say this, and well, actually, I won't spoil the surprise on that one, Poison the Well, on another film in here. But there are movies where the editing, the pacing is fair. It's not good. And I think you could probably make that argument that A Christmas Story Christmas could have been cut tighter. Well, I guess actually we're just halfway jumping into this. We'll do a half review of this one. But one of the things with A Christmas Story Christmas is he's hearkening back to his father now, and what it meant that his father was facilitating everything that went on in A Christmas Story. And it's sort of that same theme that we talked about with Clark Griswold. And so now in A Christmas Story Christmas, what he experienced as a child was perfect to him because his father was there setting the direction. And his father was Christmas unto him. And I think that's the major theme of that Christmas Story Christmas. And so that's like I would be fine throwing that one in commercial, but at the same time I think in some ways it is. I wouldn't go as far as Abot did with Home Alone. That one's still jangling around in my head, how he tied those two together. I wouldn't say it's as necessary as that, but I do think that the idea of how adults are on the back end and involved and are facilitating the dreams of the children and that expression was an important part of A Christmas Story Christmas. And that's why for me it certainly wouldn't go in sucks, but yeah, I probably wouldn't put it over commercial.
Well, I may have to revisit that then because it seems like a good cope for that one.
So let's do that one. I'd put it in front of Bad Santa 100%.
I think
Frankly,
honestly, the thing that took me back on that one was just it felt so cheap, and I don't know.
yeah, it definitely it hits all the beats. You know, it's already been laid out in A Christmas Story, and so it goes back and it can harken back to the lamp, and it can harken back to Flick and to Dares, and it's just got to be more so this time. You know, same way Jurassic World did it in Top Gun, and so you know. But all right. Having said that, Whit, go ahead and pick one.
Okay. As to what you were just talking about, what year was that film?
No, you just pick whichever one you want. I'm gonna keep it in the back of my head, and I think I got this.
Okay. Well, here's what's up. I do not want to attend to Miracle on 34th Street. I would prefer to reserve that for Abot, for whom it seemed to be particularly special for him. So I don't want to take that away from him. And presumably we've got another week in us here. And so let's throw that back. Uh, so jump instead to Scrooge. 1970, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, cool. Yancey, you acquainted?
Unacquainted with that particular one.
Okay.
Father Christmas.
I'm quite positive that I saw it. My very early recollections, and I was a sensitive young man, registered trademark, when I was in elementary school, and I I remember being not scared shitless, but being perturbed by the ghostly scenes in this particular film, which I watched a couple days ago. For the
Obi-Wan brought it.
say, oh gosh, Obi-Wan. I'm sorry. Who was Obi-Wan in this
He was
film?
Marley.
Was he really? Is that
Yeah.
so? Is so? Oh, wow, wow. You just gosh, that's a serious mind frag. You talk a little while
So
I
yeah,
go
Alec
ahead.
Guinness.
I I did not pick up on that. Partly because, and my wife did watch this after I did, and we talked about it. Yeah,
Yes.
when Marley, the business partner, comes shambling in, that is that is the jankiest scene in the whole thing. Like it is way over the top. He's overacting like I don't know. He's a cardboard character right there, and it really breaks immersion. But um that's that is one two negative things I have to say about it. The other thing is that which I think struck the most negative chord with me when I was young. And this is something kind of applicable more broadly to 80s films in general, and the what do you call it? It's not, you know, prior to CGI, you have something effects. What is it? Real world effects. There's a word for this. There's an
Yeah.
expression.
Oh,
Practical.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Um
Yep.
the practical effects super janky with Marley. And that sucked. But more generally, when it comes to just like 80s practical effects, things like Chucky begins in the 80s, does he not?
Yeah.
Chuck, yeah. Um there is this host of dark material that really made an impression on me. I was born in 82. So, this is between age 0 and age 8 that I was confronted with a lot of this stuff. And then on into the 90s, I suppose.
Well, that could
Um,
be. I'm thinking that could be a stream in itself. The 80s children's movies between Labyrinth and The Last Unicorn and Secret of Nim, which might have been 1990. But then there
right. When did the Never Ending Story come out? Because I'm thinking of
80s.
that and connect. Yeah, okay.
I think
Yeah.
that I think that
But
one was 89, and then Watership Down was 83 ish.
now that occupies a separate category for me in particular.
Okay.
Because my mother read to me the book when I was very young,
Yes.
and this is among the that was afforded me when I was like pre-cognizance, like before I even had a sense of who I was as a person. I was being confronted with that literature, and so when I then later on saw that film, it it occupies a separate category, and I think it should, even for someone who does not have my background. Being an animated feature, it's simply different. Although it does have some of those darker elements that a lot of that 80s stuff does, but
Synthwave.
come coming back to the film at hand, those hellish scenes, I think I didn't remember them in any like conscious way. Like when I saw them a couple days ago for the first time in 30 plus years, I I had no direct recollections, no conscious recollections of them, but it all felt so familiar because that 80s darkness is so, let's just say it resonated with me in a negative way, in a nightmarish way that I don't really appreciate and that I wouldn't wish upon my own children. I know that not everyone has the same experience with that sort of stuff, and Chucky is sort of an extreme example. But even what is it in? in the never-ending story, you've got the nothing, and
which is a
is that the thing?
crazy idea.
Yeah, yeah, right. I mean, it's like existential horror.
Yes.
Um, it, isn't there a scene where a white horse falls into a bog
Artax.
irremediably?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Right. Right. So, I mean, this is nightmare fuel.
It
And
that scene where Artax dies in the bog is topped by only
yeah,
one other scene in its brutality and in its hopelessness in children's film.
okay.
Do either of you know what that scene is?
I'm
Go
familiar.
ahead, Yancey. Go ahead.
It's when
I'm my
it's
wife has had
when
this movie on in the background, so I know what it is.
it's when Travis shoots Old Yeller. That is
Oh gosh.
that is the only
Oh, I
scene
thought you were talking
more.
about the other. Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought we were still talking about the Neverending Story.
Well, I was saying that scene where Travis shoots Old Yeller is the only scene that's more horrifying and more blackpilling to a child than when Artax dies in the bog.
Not if you
Yeah,
grew up
I
shooting dogs in the head, but
oh gosh.
Whatever, man.
Did you is that true for you, Yancey?
He wouldn't
absolutely.
be joking about it if it was.
I just had to do it the other
Oh,
day.
Yeah, but you didn't grow up
okay.
doing it.
Absolutely. Bama, baby. I'm a redneck. Giddy up.
Anyway, Whit, if you wanted to finish.
Okay, okay. Let me see. That was the most superficial introduction to this film. I just went straight to Ariel, and I apologize for that. But it is the thing that impressed me most about the film. The entirety of the rest of the film, I was thinking, "Hey, here's a film that I could show my kids." But then once it came to that hell spate
Yeah, and
toward the
he sizzles on it, and it's
gosh, I mean, that's some terror-inducing stuff. And then also, and this is a side note, and I will limit this to less than 1 minute, but just in the past week, perhaps you guys have noticed, and I don't know where you are on this. I can guess in terms of the theological spectrum, but there has been a considerable kerfuffle concerning final judgment when it comes to the wicked, eternal conscious torment versus annihilationism, or what is more properly termed conditional immortality. This has been, at least in the sector of X that I occupy,
I was gonna say I
a
haven't seen it this week.
Kirk
yeah,
Cameron.
no,
Kirk Cameron brought it up on a stream or something like that.
there you go. There you go. That's the one. Yeah, that was the inciting incident. And so yes, when it comes to this stuff, gosh, again, I have to wax autobiographical. I mentioned to you, Panda, maybe I'll hold this in reserve. I won't unleash. But let's just say that even misconstrued ideas of what the true final punishment is for the wicked can still prove useful in the lives of those who are in dreadful need of repentance, such as I was 20 plus years ago. And I had a concept of um, eternal conscious torment that really plagued me. And I was brought into God's fold by that means, in some ways by the scare that it induced. Now, I don't believe that that's true any longer. I believe that I have a more nuanced view concerning final punishment, but that's all I'll say on the subject right now. Um, let's just say that that did not interfere with my appreciation of this film, but rather the sort of gritty 80s quality of that hellish depiction was rather something that that made me feel like, I'm not going to show my kids this as much as I like the rest of the film. Now, coming back to the start of the film, this is among the three that I watched this in the past week. Between this and Miracle on 34th Street, again, this being Scrooge, 1970, and the other one being, I'm sorry, Panda. The one with Herdsman's,
Yeah,
the best
the
Christmas
best. Yeah.
pageant ever. So yeah, that's. I mean, that's scarcely on the radar. The other two, it would be tough to say which I appreciated more. They're both so distinct, but I do appreciate the repentance factor in relation to this vision of hell and this vision. Again, this is very personal. This is very autobiographical. Um, I had these experiences, and they pushed me into the kingdom. Um, the fear factor of knowing where my life's trajectory was headed, and then the sort of fire under the ass need to repent and do otherwise. This is a something that I appreciated greatly about this film. The primary thing, and there's a lot of details that I could go into, but let me just emphasize this as the primary thing that that struck me. I liked it because it involved this very distinct kind of Saul on the road to Damascus, changed to Paul, scales falling from the eyes, um, conversion experience, which I do know a little something about, and um, for that reason, I would actually put this on S tier. So I'll just show my hand, show my cards right up front. Yancey, you take it. You're familiar with this. Go ahead.
I mean, I actually haven't seen this adaptation, but you know,
Oh, you haven't?
no, yeah, no. But I think Scrooge is a good
Okay.
dude. He got away with it easy. You know, so yeah, probably put it in this tier with mid over here.
Okay. So this is interesting. Now, this is actually the movie when we were talking earlier about the idea of how parents facilitate and take part in Christmas. This is the one that I didn't want to cross the streams about, because what happens, the second ghost that comes to Scrooge is the ghost of Christmas Present, and the big theme in that is that Scrooge has to take part in Christmas. He has to be involved in it, and
Right.
if he's not involved in it, then he is missing Christmas. And in the course of this story, he's missing his greater salvation. And I think so. I'm torn on Dickens, and frankly, I'm somewhat torn on this movie, and I'll get into that to some degree. But I think,
Permit me,
yeah,
permit me to, and have you've read the Dickens story, presumably?
as a matter of fact, I
Okay.
I am I am 2/3 of the way through it for the first time this year.
Okay.
Yeah, no, many starts and never a finish, and so this year I'm actually in it, and it's going to happen this year. But I'm on a reading schedule. Um, Anywho's, so
Go on.
yeah, what was it? Oh, but I think that Dickens was onto it when he makes the argument that if Christmas is something apart from you, then you're missing it. And it's something that you yourself, regardless of age and frankly regardless of station, must be involved in to some degree. And I agree with that argument. I think he's right on point with that. And so that was the one earlier when I was talking about I don't want to cross the streams. That's where I was headed with that. I think the Ghost of Christmas Present is a strong reminder and warning to that idea. I thought it was interesting when you were talking about, because I had thought this when I watched it, but I wasn't going to bring it up. But then when you were talking about the movie Wit and how there are times where an eeriness to it. One of the things that caught my mind was so many dancing scenes in this one, so many singing and dancing in the streets. And I can't remember if it was early on in the movie or if it was there towards the end and sort of that final ensemble. And it just went into my head. The last time I remember seeing this many British folks dancing in the street in a film, it was when I was watching The Wicker Man. And that was a curious thought. And that also gets into Owen Barfield and this idea of dance and how it both grounds us and acts as a bridge into the transcendent. And so my greatest frustration with the film is that I think it's one that's far more subjective than probably anything else I've argued over the course of these streams. And this one really caught the vibe of Dickens, and it presented itself in that manner to the point that it went beyond Dickens sometimes, and it went beyond the book, but I don't think it went beyond the spirit of the book. And so I'm willing to chalk this one up almost completely to taste. I enjoy this movie, but it almost turns into melodrama for me. There are other versions of A Christmas Carol that I think are. See, I'm being wishy-washy. They're not necessarily better, but I appreciate them more.
Out of curiosity, which ones are those? I do recall having seen the Disney one.
Well,
Uh,
the
He's going to say a
one that
Muppet Christmas.
the one that nails it for me is among the movies that we have not done yet.
Okay. I won't pressure you further, but as an aside, I recall getting the same numinous vibe, like dark numinous vibe from even the Disney one, when I think Goofy comes in as the
Ooh, it's Marley.
as Mar- yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
I mean that freaked me out when I was quite young. Again,
Well,
like I was a
and so
sensitive
I
young man.
do not to the same extent you did. Not to the same extent you did, but I do remember being, I don't know, somewhere between 8 to 12 in this one, the Albert Finney edition, and just somehow the movie jumped above its fishing line and
Right.
its practical effects, and it was eerie, and then the six guys from the gay bar come and wrap him in the chain, and it's like, I don't know, man. This is even the part where he's in hell, and yet Lucifer had a special room prepared for you, and he alone in hell gets the cold room.
Right. I mean, it hurts. It hurts.
There was definitely some stuff in there. But yeah, it was interesting. I love the dance and I love the musical portions of the movie, and yet they almost they took me out of it to some degree. But I also wonder if they more, because have you read the book?
I've not actually. In fact, full disclosure here. I've never enjoyed Dickens. He's always kind of gone on longer than I can endure. Um,
So, so my
a sing,
frustration,
yeah.
my,
So I understand.
yeah, my
Go ahead.
frustration with the book right now is these descriptions he gives, and he's just got to, like, I think I beat a dead horse at times, but he's just got to keep pounding this stuff. And it's like, okay,
Uh,
man, we get it. You know, give us a little subtlety. Let us taste it rather than just opening our jaws and forcing it down a. Oh man.
well, look, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if I remember correctly, um, he did a lot of his writing in the form of serials,
Okay.
so he was drawn out, paper by paper, issue by issue. So that explains some of the French expression longueurs, these sort of tediously lengthy, extended portions of the narrative that are just tough to endure. And Chesterton has the same problem in some places, but I'm quite positive, if I recall correctly, that Dickens was doing a lot of his work in the form of serials.
Well, it's interesting. So I would be curious if you were to take, let's leave Chesterton out for a second, but if you were to take Tolkien, McCarthy, and Dickens, I think anyone could argue the same faults between the three of them, and yet they would be right, but they would also be wrong. I think you I think you can make the argument in the positive and the negative on either of those three. And to be frank, Dickens is the one I have the least experience with. This is the first book I
Me
haven't.
too.
Yeah, but people say, "Oh, Tolkien is so long-winded and so." Bleh. And it's like, I don't think he is. I don't think he is. And
It,
and and when and if he is, it
yeah,
is
yeah.
it is purposely recalling a high style of prose, which would be appropriate for the people that are reciting an old poem or running to one of the, not ancient, but um, one of the high poems of a society,
Yeah,
foundational.
man. Think Iliad, Odyssey. I mean,
Right.
those are
And so,
super lengthy. Yeah. Go ahead.
and you read McCarthy, and there's portions in there where he he can draw you in on 3, 4, 8 paragraphs about a tree. And so the same thing that I'm being frustrated with Dickens about, you can find authors that do the same thing, and yet I appreciate it when I don't appreciate it from Dickens. So I don't know. It's neither here nor there. Just sort of thinking out loud. Shower thoughts as oh no, that I was gonna say that was Beato that said that, but no, that was Become the Night or something. I don't know. Okay, sorry. Anyways, so I am I'm fine putting Scrooge in This Is Christmas. It's a flavor issue for me. Just the film presented a Christmas Carol. Just for me, just, eh.
I'd like to just bring in something from the I don't know, upper decks, left field. I don't know how to say this. The Praise of Folly podcast. I don't know if you've noticed, but he's been on with academic agent two times in like the span of 2 weeks, which I've appreciated.
Okay.
And they've gotten economic considerations in relation to big business,
Yeah.
in
Yancey, have you
connection
heard
with
these in the past couple of weeks? I knew he was on the
Is the
first
Praise of
time, but
Folly guy the guy with the funny voice?
Yeah, probably. Usually
Yeah,
people
I found
comment.
him particularly annoying. Sorry.
Oh,
Well,
he's among my
he.
favorites. And you're treading on sacred ground
Well,
here
I was going
because
to say
he's
he is a
I'm sure
friend
he
of,
has I'm sure he makes good observations, but I found him to be a
to
little annoying.
to be clear, he is a friend of the show, and we have appreciated his
yeah. Okay. So
participation.
the
Wandering
reason
Panda
for which
endorses all of my opinions.
Every
the,
single one of them.
Could you not tell?
the okay, look, the reason I bring him up is because of this connection with money lending and big business
The
and
cash nexus,
Potter.
is that how he
The
describes it?
cat, there you go.
Right.
That's summed up in a word. This kind of um, what do you call it when a star implodes on itself and
Supernova,
becomes this hyper gravitational
like
thing?
a black hole.
There you go. I mean, the cash nexus is a black hole, and it sucks everything in, and it sucks immigrants from distant shores into the whole business.
GDP
Uh,
go up.
there you go.
Yeah.
Line go up, and so appealing to that in the loosest possible sense, um, you have that presented here in the form of Scrooge as the money lender. Um, just like you do Potter from It's a Wonderful Life. And you have this juxtaposed alongside those higher considerations when it comes to what's really important in God's book. You have this God or money stark contrast presented you once again. And this is a repeated theme, and we'll get to it with Abbott Grenfield and Miracle on 34th Street, where the theme is repeated. You find this in so many of these Christmas films, interestingly, because um, more recently, the reason for which people bow out, and I'm talking like serious leftists too, who I've years ago, like, you know, a decade and a half ago, I was hearing them be like, "Yeah, Christmas, bah humbug." I'm gonna get someone, I don't know, a subscription to some charitable organization or something like that. Bowing out on the cash nexus. However poorly they actually succeeded in doing so is another question. But um the heart of the matter is something that I can understand completely, and something is a repeated throughout so many of these Christmas films, which is God or money. And in this film, Scrooge, 1970, again, to bring the listeners back to what we're actually talking about, um, the theme is repeated, just as it's echoed from um, It's a Wonderful Life and a number of these other films that you see represented in this list. Certainly, The Family Man. But go ahead, Panda. It looks like you're like a coiled spring. Go ahead.
Well, so there is. Well, first let me defer to Yancey. We've been talking a minute. You got anything to throw in here, brother?
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Hell no, brother. Y'all keep going on.
Okay. So
I will say
this was
Ben Shapiro had a great observation about
that
It's a Wonderful Life from
no
years
no
ago,
no no
and that
Hey, Panda,
that
Potter is the hero.
mute him.
that's for
Mute him, Panda.
that was the surprise for you guys tonight. I didn't know you knew about that. Doggone it. We're gonna get to that. Doggone it. Man, Yancey's just beat me to everything. But what was I thinking?
Go ahead.
Oh, so that was one of my nitpicks actually with this movie, but I chalked it up to a nitpick, and so I wasn't gonna bring it up in my frustrations with it. Yeah, so let me give you the bad part, but then let me also give you one of the what I thought most important things that was happening there at the end of the movie. So the bad part was it came off as very, man, I don't know. It felt like that Woodstock hippie free love socialism there towards the end. And I was willing to give the movie grace and think that, I wasn't, maybe it wasn't going as far as I was hearing it. But I'm sitting there and I'm watching Scrooge tear up his book and so on. And I like the idea. And I'm not running back to my reform days to about how man is so evil and nothing but impure rags, and trying to delineate between total depravity and utter depravity. I'm not doing that, but there is the carrot and the stick. And when it's all fat, believe it or not, when it's all carrots, believe it or not, you can get fat on carrots. When it's all stick, you die. When it's all carrots, you will ultimately get fat, or at the very least, not be completely nourished. And so, there at the end of the movie in particular, it was like, this is I'm having a hard time with this. But like I said, that was a nitpick, and that was me maybe reading more into it. And I'll be curious to actually finish the book and see where Dickens went with this. This other one, I don't think has anything to do with Dickens. We'll see as I get through the end of the book. But I suspect this was just either the author or it was Finney's decision to do this. But the amount of times at the end of the movie that Finney dropped to his knees to talk to a child was... I'll let the movie go to S tier solely because of that. It infuriates me when outside of proper hierarchy and direction, there are times when particularly a man shouldn't necessarily look a child in its eyes on their level. And mothers on occasion, there's times. But barring those times of discipline, of intense instruction, drop to your knees and talk to the child. Look them in the eye and get on their level. I hate when adults stand up and talk to children. It just frustrates me. And so to see that in a film where Ebenezer Scrooge, where the main character is dropping down and speaking to children, just... oh man, that was the bee's knees.
That is a detail which I did not pick up on, but I'll totally revisit. And it should be mentioned for the listeners that this movie is actually free on YouTube, which was a surprise to me, but it's available in total.
We had hoped
sure.
to stream different things from YouTube for you guys, but technical difficulties.
Right. I don't know. I'm just going to drop this as a sort of a deep lore detail from Deuteronomy that pertains to something that you mentioned earlier, relating to my favorite character from the entire presentation, which is the Ghost of Christmas Present, who is offers the not tankard, the goblet, the wine of Scrooge. And
come and know me better.
Right. We're doing it, and we're doing it now. And I just want to drop this again. This is deep lore from Deuteronomy, which if Abbott were here, perhaps he'd. So it's a good thing that Abbott's not here, and I can relate this with a sort of full-throated degree of satisfaction. But this is Deuteronomy 14:26. And this has to do with what tithes are for in the Old Testament. What you do with the 10% of the produce of your land and your entire kind of household commerce. Anyway, it reads as follows: Deuteronomy 14:26 in the bullshit NIV, the newer iteration on Bible Hub,
Okay.
because you can't get the 1984 anymore practically anywhere online, which is where I memorized all my verses in my early Christian walk. But anyway, here it's not so far off from the NIV 94. Use the silver to buy whatever you like: cattle, sheep, wine, or other fermented drink, or anything you wish. And other fermented drink is strong drink. And if you look it up in the Strongs, pardon the pun, you'll find it means highly intoxicating liquor. So go ahead and with your tithe buy cattle, sheep, wine, or strong drink, highly intoxicating liquor, or anything you wish, and then you and your household shall eat there in the presence of the Lord your God and rejoice in Jerusalem. So you bring your tithe there and you party with God. God's down for parties. And this is straight from scripture. And a lot of people are going to be chagrined by this because of their religious tendencies. But look, God doesn't blush at these things. They're written there quite explicitly. And I simply mention this because both my wife and I, we favored the ghost of Christmas Present, who is sort of the embodiment of this concept of just getting down in the present and being grateful. And as he says it, and this is kind of a paraphrase, but uh, he says essentially, I and my brothers, I think, essentially the spirit of all ages, we are exercising ourselves on humanity in order to reduce the aggregate human misery. We're seeking to simply bring pleasure in the present in order to reduce human misery, and I find that a very redeemable concept. And there's a lot more I could say about this film, but I'll leave off. We've kind of waxed long on this. It's back to you guys.
All right. Well, so let's do because I think blessings to Abbott. I think we will do a fourth one, but we can't do a fifth one because that would take us till after Christmas. So
I
having
felt
Right.
like that
said
was
that,
a fitting. I'm kind of getting on in the evening, but that felt like that was a good epitaph for to finish on that one. Mid was great.
let's
Cool.
do
Yeah.
so I agree, but what I want to do, simply because of the amount that are left, is I want to do a part B to Scrooge real quick, which I think will be very similar, and we'll see what you guys have to say about it. But Yancey, what do you have to say, if anything, about the Muppets Christmas Carol?
Um, you know, not a lot. I like Michael Caine. Love Kermit, Fozzie. One that I did like is the Disney Screw
The
the Disney
animated
Christmas
one?
Carol, the animated one.
Okay.
I thought it was
Yeah.
I've watched that again recently with the kids, and that one was um uh pretty touching. I don't have. I mean, it's such a you know a it's hard to really do anything that hasn't already been done before with a Christmas Carol in any meaningful sense. It's just obviously a timeless classic. So pretty much, it's really hard. I would actually be more interested to see if there's a really bad adaptation of A Christmas Carol than if there were any really good ones. You know what I mean? Like, are there
Scrooged
any?
with Bill Murray.
Okay, so I want to check out a bad one. That's really what I'm interested in. I really don't think you can do. It's hard. You got to try really hard.
And that's,
So,
and I think no, when you say that, I do think you're right, because in Scrooged with Bill Murray, it's not bad. It's just kind of painful in light of all the other ones. So actually, I think you're hitting on something there. That, yeah, the story is what it is, and it's almost difficult to it's difficult to screw it up. There is, so I want to oh, I can't find it. All right, gentlemen, talk for a second. Whit, have you seen the Muppet Christmas Carol?
If I have, it's been forever, and I remember next to nothing. So,
Okay.
it is useless on this subject.
Okay, I found it. So this quote I love. This is from Michael Caine, and he said that when they asked him if he would play it, he said, "This would be my approach. I'm going to play this movie like I'm working with the Royal Shakespeare Company. I will never wink. I will never do anything Muppety." I love
yeah, I
that
have to
quote.
say that makes a lot of sense. I wanted to remark just a second ago. I kind of got sidetracked. I mean, Michael Caine is just really good in that. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. He plays it. He plays it straight, which is how even like yeah, that's just how you should do it. I mean,
Mhm.
it's funnier that way. It comes off a lot better.
Yeah, I think that it adds to the sincerity of the Ebenezer Scrooge character. He is a man totally involved in himself. And I think you're right. I think if Kane had played it any other way, it would have cheapened the idea of who Scrooge was. He's not a slapstick villain, right? This is somebody who is legitimately up there in wealth, not in status, but that's because he's curdled all of the goodwill that could be around him. So, with that having been said, the Muppets one is my particular choice for the greatest Christmas Carol rendition.
Really,
It is on.
That's that 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 surprises me. I should probably go back and watch it then.
Yeah,
that's a surprise.
I
That's a surprise coming from you. I mean, I would have figured it would have been any of the other ones. I mean, I've always liked that one in particular, just because obviously it's Muppets, but just it didn't try to play it off hack like they could have done it like how they did
yes,
the other Muppet movies. A lot of
right,
cameos, a lot of looking behind the camera, like,
yes, good. Ooh,
are we in a Christmas Carol right now? Shut up, shut up, shut up. They played
that's
it really
a
straight.
that's a really good point on the cameos too, because that was they sort of took the Muppet Show formula and would stretch it out into an hour and a half. That's what they did with Takes Manhattan. That's what they did with Muppets in Space. That's a good point.
And I mean, all of the Muppet movies are really fun, because of those cameos, because of
Sure.
fourth wall breaking kind of angle
Yes.
there. That makes it refreshing for adults to kind of watch. Revisiting those, you realize, oh, you realize who all these movie stars were that were showing up in the background. But yeah, mainly that's the restraint, the restraint in the Muppet Christmas Carol is actually pretty novel when you go back and watch it.
No, and I think you're hitting on it there, because that was, like we were talking about earlier, that's one of my frustrations with the Albert Finney one, is it's very much in the feels. And I think that is a taste issue. I don't think that's a quality issue, because I think it's well done. There's just something about it that it's almost too too ephemeral for me. But Whit, you got anything before we wrap it up on these Christmas carols?
You'll forgive me. I was paying attention to something else. What
Oh, you're
is
good.
two specifically?
Oh, I just didn't know if you had anything else you wanted to say on the Christmas carols. Oh, I will throw my vote in. I think my personal choice, Muppets Christmas Carol, would be S tier. I'm fine putting it at the front of Cozy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is all you guys because it's been too long since I've seen it. But you did it sort of before I even knew what you were up to. You put Scrooge up there at S tier, and I'm content with that. I was surprised at the degree to which I appreciated that film, actually. So I
Yes.
appreciate your recommendation. Yeah, and I'll go out of my way to watch the Muppets, in addition to Fat Man,
Yeah, right.
which came up in the past 24 hours on X. So yeah,
So we
yeah.
are gonna go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say you've given me and perhaps any number of our listeners considerable homework here.
All right. Well, unfortunately, though, all my big surprises, Yancey already knows about this one. But before we wrap up, I heard some recent Christmas movie commentary from our favorite Mr. Ben Shapiro, and so I am
I
am
don't think
hoping
with it. Yeah, I don't know what you guys are about to say. I missed this. When you brought up Shapiro, I knew that I was in for something fresh. So I'm getting this cold right now. So
I found this and it was posted back in 21, and I'm like, nobody's ever seen it. Tag him, Yancey. Let me tell you what Ben Shapiro is.
Nobody does coal like Ben Shapiro.
All right,
I
so
gotta
I'm
say.
hoping,
gosh,
I'm hoping, gentlemen, that
Alrighty, It's a Wonderful Life, which isn't just the best Christmas.
Oh wait, hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Having
All
just
right,
read
guys.
this looks awful, man, but play it.
Oh, just you wait.
Christmas film, it may be the best film. It's a Wonderful Life. It's an amazing, amazing movie. Obviously, it requires very little introduction. You got Jimmy Stewart, you got Lionel Barrymore, and a cast of thousands. And the entire film is a play on A Christmas Carol. The first half of the film is really, really dark. And people forget how dark the performance that Jimmy Stewart gives in this film is. So Jimmy Stewart was famous for being sort of slapsticky and very Jimmy Stewart. In this film, he gets angry, and when he plays angry, it actually works. Jimmy Stewart, underrated actor, and Jimmy Stewart is this guy who feels hemmed in by life, and he's started this bank, and now he's lost all the money because his dumb uncle, who's a drunk idiot, has lost all the cash, and Lionel Barrymore is taking advantage of him, and he thinks about killing himself, and he's convinced not to by being shown what the world would be like had he not been born. And then, of course, the community comes around to save him. It is the ultimate Christmas movie. It's about forgiveness. It is about community. It's about the unseen contributions that we all make to the lives of the people around us. Now, also, Lionel Barrymore is correct. So on a financial level, the villain of this piece is actually the hero, because if Jimmy Stewart actually gets his way, all of Bedford Falls collapses in the subprime mortgage crisis. Basically, Jimmy Stewart keeps giving out loans without proper checking into the credit history of the people he's giving loans to based on his sort of assessment of their own personal viability financially. Lionel Barrymore is much more by the numbers. Lionel Barrymore is a better banker, and that local bank probably goes under. So the movie was supposed to be sort of a quasi-socialistic FDR parable, but the reality is that the real estate policies followed by Jimmy Stewart bankrupt Bedford Falls, and everybody ends up homeless.
That's stupid Rudolph. He could do it till he got to the daggum now. And he had to throw everything away and piss on it with golden Jew piss or whatever.
He's doing the merchant man.
Right?
Oh, man.
Stupid dumbass. He couldn't just leave it there.
That's so good. I love it. It's cold. It's so dark, and
so dark.
It loops back around to being a gem, though. That's an absolute. That's a
only
take,
because it
man.
shows him for the. I'm I'm trying to control
YouTube,
myself.
YouTube.
Yeah. Damn it, man. I mean, gosh, he really shows it here. You
He
said,
had it. He had it.
yeah,
I almost raised a glass to Daggum Ben Shapiro, and he couldn't just stop there, but he had to go beyond, and he misrepresents the character of the only reason the building and loan exists in light of Potter being the tyrannical jackass is because George Bailey and Mary Bailey bust their butts over and over again, pouring life into that community. Not just throwing money at the thing and going bankrupt. That's not at all what was going on. It was the fact that in light of Potter being an ass and coming in and taking from people, the Baileys are there to say, we're going to continue to invest in something
Does
other than the darkness that is Potter.
does this mean that like Shapiro likes what Pottersville looks like?
Of course it does.
I mean, like,
damn it, you
Wait,
guys.
tell me. He's got the shit stain, the daggum strippers on there. They've got the alcohol in there. He's got the colored guy on the piano. And don't tell me that wasn't intentional on the part of Capra when the first cut from Bailey dying is going to a colored guy on a piano. Now, I'm not trying to make this claim against blacks, but
Of
what I'm
course.
saying is that at that time in the 40s, when Capra cuts to a colored man, he's saying that this is recognition of the fall of Bedford Falls. This is what happens with Pottersville. It's this run towards degeneracy. It's this run towards, frankly, Jewish supremacism, because it always manifests
Not
in
Alice.
this nonsense. What?
I just said not Alice.
I don't know what that means.
No, you're 100% right. I was affirming everything you were saying implicitly. But yeah,
Okay.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful, man. You need to end every stream you do with like a segment on Cole because it gets you fired up, man.
Perfect.
The Lord bless you and keep you.
Yeah.
Do some shilling. Where can folks find y'all? And then yeah, what were some good things you saw this week?
Go.
This video was the best one. That's
Oh my
I
lands.
love that video so much, man. It's just so no self-awareness. All right, yeah, Pete,
No kidding, right?
yeah.
No
Oh yeah.
self-awareness.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna shill and then I'll bow out. Yeah, come follow me on Twitter, Yancey Muzak, YANCEY_MUZAK. Working on some music. There'll be new stuff in January.
Oh yeah,
Hopefully
I
I'll
think
be
I
at
saw
another.
you post something.
Yeah. Stripping it back a little bit with some new stuff, but hopefully I'll be on another one of these for too long. Whenever you want to have another one.
Yeah, well, I know we're in the holiday season, so just I'll let you know and we take care of it offline, but we'll be doing it again next week, and I believe that will be the final one. We've got what, six movies to finish through, of which some of those can be kind of a wink and a nod, but yeah, so that should be good next week. It's always a pleasure to have you. Grateful for your appearance. Whit, where can people find you and what's going on? And anything good this past week that you want to hype?
Okay, let me ask real quick, Yancey. I see pinned at the top of your profile, you've got that woke right radio business. How'd you get connected with that clique?
I just followed him. There's a guy who he does that show. I was already following him. He rebranded as Woke Right Radio, and he liked my song as an intro. I hope he does more episodes. They're really good. He was doing it as a space on Twitter, but he moved it to YouTube. I hope, yeah, go check out Woke Right Radio with John Wokeright. I think he's been offline for a minute though. He may come back in the new year, but check out his channel. Does some great stuff.
Okay, cool. I appreciated the trollishness of just owning the woke right moniker, which is
Right,
which is
right.
yeah. Anyway, good job, man, landing a gig with that click. I really have nothing to shill but my own ideas, and hopefully, I'm a conduit for God's. I'm at MIDWHIT Midwhit with the Jared Taylor Who-wit, and and you'll find my link tree at midwhit.bio. And none of that is particularly updated, but it'll give you some sense of what I do as an artist and as a thinker, I guess, if I qualify as such. But anyway, thank you again, Panda, for having me on once again, and take us out of here.
Absolutely, sir. So I appreciate you gentlemen coming on. I appreciate everybody that's still watching. You will find the info to these guys there in the description. And then what I've got here on the screen is the one thing I wanted to shout out. You know, we shouted out a book 2 weeks ago, and then I shouted out, I did some shameless plugging for myself last week on that Rocky thread. This week, I have been greatly appreciating this particular album by Matt Mayer, The Advent of Christmas. As far as I'm aware, it's his only Christmas album. There are some odd tonal choices in there where he goes from one song that I really like to a couple of songs that make me scratch my head. But the overall package, I greatly appreciate it. And there's some particular songs on there that, boy, that is Christmas. That is Christmas. And I do want to harken back to the opening monologue. Expectation. That is a key foundational part of this life, and it is part of what is being illuminated during the Christmas season. Peace unto all of you. Have a good evening.